We are here on the This Is Your Mind on AI live stream portion of 30 wins in 30 days. This is day number 3, so with any luck, it should be win number 3. This is very much like walking a tightrope. All right, here's what we're gonna do. Again, I'm doing this build in public live here. So what I want to do is I'm going to show you kind of where we are. I have had a little bit of a head start today, but not much of one. I want to get you caught up on what I am doing right now, where Nitwyt currently is, and where the Nitwyt developing kit currently is, because that is the one that you'll be able to take advantage of. If you want to purchase this, you can. If you just want to build this on your own, go to the GitHub, which is in the description, and there's the Leap design pattern. You can build this from scratch using that stuff. That's kind of what I did. Obviously, I've put a lot of many moons into this and months, but so you can definitely take advantage of my work if you want to purchase it. But if not, use Leaps and do what I'm doing, and you can create your own operating system, which is also kind of cool. So hopefully you can use this channel in either way. One thing I want to show that I have found that I think is going to be useful. I am not sure. I hope it is, because I'm going to test it live, and I don't know if it's going to work here, but I do have a backup just in case it doesn't. So I'm going to, let's do this. So I'm gonna put, let's do this one. So here's what I got. I have this new file, which has been created because we had this problem where with the Nitwyt operating system, wasn't able to connect properly. And so I wanted it to be able to connect no matter what device I was on, so I could connect to it directly, again, no matter the device. This is the first time I'm testing it on this device that I'm currently broadcasting on. I already know it works on the other device, which is the root device that I did. So this in theory should work, but it's the first time I'm testing it. So let's find out. All right, so far, so good. So we're gonna allow Python to do its thing because it needs to. And all right, I am seeing a terminal loading up on my side. I don't think there's anything obnoxious here. That's kind of what that looks like. So I can see that happening. Now what I should also see, and I'm gonna keep this open. It should say this up here right at the top, so you can see this. You got to keep it open here. This is where I am now going, and what's actually happened on a different monitor, just because I happen to have Chrome already open on that monitor. This is the file that opened. So now I'm on localhost, and for those of you who have been playing along at home in the past, you'll see the localhost has been an issue where it's like I can't connect on localhost. So this, in theory, should work. I don't know if it will or not. We're going to find out. So I'm going to do one other quick setting here. Just because I like the lighter stuff. All right, so now I'm going to paste in something else. I want to show you what I've done, and I think, in fact, I know I can pull this up for you. So I'm just using Google Drive for this, and I'm just creating, and this is just something that is, let me get to the right keyboard here. Okay, so this, what I'm about to show you, is a little mini riff, something that I did a little riff on, but it's literally test input. That's the whole idea. So let me pull this up, and there we go. Okay. Sorry about this. Just pull this over so you can see it. Okay, so we're doing Nitwyt test. That's what I want. All right, so this is my file. So this is the test file. This is the test sort of input that I did. Now, all I did was just did a voice riff, but here's what I'm testing for. This is why I did this. So you can kind of see kind of why I did what I did. So I basically said, hey, I got a bunch of stuff going on, because this is made for like a normal human. Like, just think about how your life is and what you would want if it existed. How would you want your machine to operate if you could just sort of, you know, in my head, I'm just like, if I could just sort of just scream into it and just let everything go into this machine, and then it goes, oh, yeah, no problem, and just starts organizing stuff, right? That's kind of what I want. I don't want to have to filter anything. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm not trying, I don't want to have to self-edit, 'cause that's what we do, I think, too much. And with AI, we don't have to self-edit as much, which is incredible, because then you can get your personal intelligence, because you're not self-editing yourself for what you think somebody else wants to hear. Your own personal intelligence gets kind of extruded through the AI in your, you know, the artificial intelligence, to come up with what is actually your human intelligence that you have available to you. It's like a whole other level of it. And that's why I'm doing this. So I wanted to be able to say, oh, I got a bunch of stuff going on, right? And I'm trying to make it real. So, live stream and everything else is kind of what I'm doing. I want to get the YouTube subscriber counts up. By the way, those of you who have subscribed over the many days, past few days, has been awesome. Thank you for that. It means a ton to me to see the numbers going up because it means that you're there and you're paying attention, at least a little bit. I understand if you're not watching all of this, but I do thank you for this. So thank you. I hope to show you even more cool stuff as we go through. So lots of different stuff coming through here, including Nitwyt. Now, again, I'll talk more about Nitwyt Red, Nitwyt Blue teams. We're going to have like little voting sections that the Nitwyt operating system is going to use for feedback. And you're actually going to be able to communicate through YouTube, through this channel, to give feedback onto how your Nitwits are operating or how you want this Nitwit to operate. So currently, even if it's me as a Nitwit, I'm fine with that. Just let me know. So anyway, Nitwyt Red and Nitwyt Blue. So we'll talk more about those. And I wanted to get that kind of in the OS. I want it kind of thinking about this. Like, will it pick up on that and figure out how it relates to Nitwyt? Because remember, this is my Nitwyt operating system. So it already knows that we're in building a live stream and it's aware of what all this stuff is. Whereas I couldn't give this to some generic, Google, Claude or anything like that without massive amounts of context and setup. And I don't want to have to do that. That's kind of the beauty of Nitwyt. I can give it short updates like this, but there's immense context that it already has with that it should be able to hook into, and that's why I'm testing with this this here. So anyway, there's the NDK. A little bit about that because we're building out that product. By the way, fun story. I actually did build that yesterday, and it built the entire thing, like more than I thought it was going to do, and further than I thought it was going to go, that I was ready for it, to be honest. So I have to pull it back just a little bit. So I'm delaying the NDK till later today, but I should have it, depending what happens on this test of the live stream. Everything depends upon this live stream. So let's find out. Again, this is me walking the tightrope to see if I can get to the Nitwyt developing kit, which is essentially your version of what I'm doing. So you can just take this, install it. Again, you got to be a vibe coder at this stage. This is the Nitwyt developing kit is kind of like the bleeding edge of this tech that I'm currently researching and playing around with Leap and everything else and finding out what else it can do as I explore my own Nitwyt. And I'm passing on the stuff that I sort of have cooked, that I get cooked, that I know is pretty solid and stable. I'll pass it on through the Nitwyt developing kit. And then you can buy your Nitwyt developing kit. You can get your kit updated. It'll actually update itself. All that fun stuff. And you can customize it, hopefully by what you're learning on this channel or at that point in the automatedwith.tech community, which is our website, again, at automatedwith.tech. You can just go there and there's a whole separate workbench that everybody with a Nitwyt developing kit can play around with. But the whole reason why I say this is because I wanted to make sure that it was capturing the build in there. So it's a couple of business things, which I would, from a Nitwyt terminology, we would be saying this is the wealth node is kind of what I would think this stuff would be associated to, except the YouTube subscribers. That would be signal oriented because it's not so much the IP, it's more of like how well are we doing at communicating what our wealth is to everybody and exchanging the wealth and making sure the wealth is flowing through the signal that is all of, the network of nitwits that we're getting together here. So that's why the YouTube subscriber counts would be there. The newsletter subscribers should be there. The community member count should be there. All of that should be signal, but the NDK is a product. So that should be under the wealth node. And then I got date knife. Oh, it's not, well, it doesn't matter. It was really a date night is what that was supposed to be. You can see kind of missed it. So it has nothing to do with date knives. But I'm going to keep that in there because this is just how transcripts work and Nitwit's not dumb. So it uses common sense. That's the whole point is it's using logic, common sense, logically, right? Remember the whole LEAP concept is logically engineered AI prompts. So logically it's going to be like, oh yeah, date night together with my wife. Also want to make sure that I'm working on the aquarium project. So I should have some personal stuff in there as well, which is the life node, right? So we've got the wealth, the signal, or the wealth, the signal, the life node, and then the craft node, which is like miscellaneous projects. And in here, I had a personal project I put in around, so my wife would be more life stuff. And then there's the stuff that you kind of work on because it's kind of like stuff that you like. So I have a little aquarium project I want to do. So I wanted to kind of see if that would move that over into the craft node. So I'm looking to see how it processes this input. Right now, so and again, I just riffed this out and quickly did it when I was testing earlier. But the reason I'm showing it to you like this is because as a developer, and again, I don't consider myself a vibe coder at all. I don't consider myself a developer at all. I definitely do. I make such blatant, obviously incorrect decisions on systems architecture from a technical standpoint because I don't know the systems yet. But I'm exploring through them with Nitwyt, which is what's incredibly useful. One of the techniques for that is consistency in how you test things, especially when you're working with LEAP files. So I'm testing a consistent input to make sure that the leaps are, or the code that the leaps are producing essentially is producing a similar sort of input. And I can take in the same input over and over again. And probabilistically, I can get the pattern that I'm looking for from that input, as long as I'm giving an input with a bunch of stuff in it. So long story short, this is a very long-winded way of me saying I'm testing with a consistent input that is designed to ideally trigger the full functionality so that when it tests itself, it should report back in a certain way that I know to look for, because testing is very important. And one of the things that I'm going to do right now while I'm thinking about it is start a recording, because I missed this before, but this is helpful because I'm going to use this for AI recording. So give me just a second. I'm going to start an audio recording on my phone. All right, it is June 3rd, 2026. It is 3:12 p.m. We are 12 minutes into the live stream. I just forgot to start the recording for our AI training, which is why we're doing this, so that Nitwyt can learn about everything. And I'm going through why we're doing the Nitwyt test, which is essentially a input that we're doing, a consistent input that we can use as an example input. And it should test for all the different nodes to see if a certain thing that was on the input actually got organized under the correct node. We should already know what to expect or how it's going to be organized because it is a test input. So we already understand what it is that should come back, so we know the quality. So in other words, once the input's in there, we already have an expectation of what it should look like. Is the quality there? And if it's not, during testing, we need to figure out why not and then adjust it. And part of the reason that I'm spending so much time talking about testing is because the Nitwyt operating system needs to have a testing feature as a LEAP file. And that's something I'm going to be building after this live stream, because I want Nitwyt to be able to code itself, which it already does, and then test itself, which it kind of does. It's not great at testing right now. And so I'm going to put in some logic around how I test things. And I use consistent inputs that are made to test the machinery. So if I know I'm testing a certain limit, and I'm gonna make up something that's not code based, it's just easier for me to think about. If we're building a physical machinery and that physical machinery can only take a certain amount of weight, I'm gonna stress test that machinery with a certain amount of weight in certain areas where that weight was designed to be placed, the areas that were designed to take the stress of that weight, those limits. And I'm going to push those limits. And that's the whole point of a test, is to push the limits, not to figure out is the minimal viable product there. And I think this is a poisonous pill that tech has given us over the last 20 years, is this whole minimal viable product bullshit. Apologies for the language, but it's crap. We should spend extra time making the experience so amazing that it's not ever minimally viable. It's like, oh my God, it's barely got a heartbeat. Let's send it to market, instead of thinking about, okay, we got a heartbeat, so it's functional. Now, how do we make it so incredible that no amount of marketing is necessary? Because why would we have to market it? It's so obviously amazing on its own. That's something you can do with AI. I'm trying to prove that. I am proving that. Don't get me wrong. I'm 3 days into a 30-day cycle that I kind of know where I'm going to be in 30 days. So that's a little bit of me traveling when I'm like, I'm trying to prove that. I am proving that. It's just I'm only on day 3. But there is a different way. There's a different set of quality that you can produce as a person. But it is a slightly different way to get there when you're using AI native to do it. Like, so in my case, I'm gonna reference it as like LEAP coding, because that's kind of how I think about it, or a LEAP development, situation, because it's all about these LEAP prompts, because it's a middleware system between myself and the AI, so that the AI is writing code to itself, and then that code is actually what's working with the AI to write the code, and it's a better thing. So anyway, I wanted to talk a lot about testing, because I think we have to think about testing a lot, and make sure the functionality is there, and set up all sorts of tricks. I do that constantly as a testing thing, where I'm setting up different tricks to test and confirm. And I know it's almost like, oh, I'm going to make it really easy for the system to report that there are no errors, but that would be the error if it did do that, kind of like weird little tricks like that to try to get it to do false positives and really do a vulnerability report knowing that the vulnerabilities are there. Like, it's not like they're not going to be there. Of course they're going to be there. It's only the first few times we code. There's going to be issues, but it's just to expect those and then to do a deeper dive, logical thinking through all the different perspectives. Okay, what was the person developing the code thinking at this point? What would the audience have been thinking that would have caused them to use the code in this way? What about the actual, as you're acting and using this, if somebody's watching you do this, I guess would be the audience. And then if you're actually using it, it would be more like the actor model, and how is that being integrated? So some of that may not make entirely too much sense to you as a viewer right now, which I understand. I apologize for, but that's why these live streams are here, because you can give these to your AI. You can literally feed these live streams into your own Nitwyt or your own Leap files, put it into the Leap design pattern, and say, hey, build all this stuff out, and it would do a job. May not be the Nitwyt developing kit, but it'll get you somewhere. So at least to play. All right, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and try this official test, and if not, I have a backup plan. If this doesn't work, but we're going to find out. So I'm going to paste our test in here. So this is me doing an official first test on our Nitwyt operating system, our private desktop portal. We're going to go into what we call the Foresight preview. Now, this is something that I quite literally have not seen yet at all, because two things I'm about to test before I hit this button. One is that the bridge to the API is still there, because I'd lost that earlier, but I got that back. So we're all reprogrammed when I updated the design of this a little bit. And the whole point of Ask Nitwyt is when I go to Foresight preview, what I don't want to do is have don't get me wrong, I don't mind a couple of back and forth chats that are just clarifying something, but I'm not here to have an hour-long conversation with a machine, right? That's not what I'm trying to do. So instead of that, what I want to do is get this Foresight protocol set out. So when it takes my input, it thinks through everything, right? So it's doing all the thinking and stuff on its side. And then it says, okay, here's the plan. Here's what I've got. Here's how I think it's going to affect the calendar. Here's what I think you have already on deck. Here's what might be happening. Here's all the stuff we need to do. Here's the incoming stuff that you told me and everything I've heard, right? And how it's likely to be organized based on how I heard it. And that's essentially what I want. I want that kind of plan feeling of kind of like you get with an IDE when you're using VS Code or Cursor. You get that planning, like, oh, here's the plan. I want that, and I want to be able to edit that plan in certain areas if I want. And I honestly don't think I'm going to be there yet at this level, but I'm hoping I'm close. We'll see. So, because I haven't seen it yet, and this is a new build. So first time test live. But the idea is, when I can pop this up, I can make little corrections. Like, for example, the word Nitwyt often is transcribed as the traditional word when, of course, we use the Nitwyt operating system as an OS. So it's Nitwyt. And now eventually I could set up my system to self-correct for that word, but that wouldn't be useful for you, because obviously you may not be doing that. Now, I might set it up as a global thing for operators that are clearly referencing the machine. I can set that up in the code. That's not a problem. But I want you to be able to also create rules that are unique to yours. Like, I have automatedwith.tech. You would not have automatedwith.tech. You would have something else in your wealth node. And I want to make sure that we have global rules and some things that we can adjust, and the system learns to self-correct certain things, keep things in the right format, all of that. So there's a lot that's riding on this Foresight preview, which is why I'm setting expectations. I don't think it's gonna be perfect at all, but I think that the idea is this is the input. So I'm taking the messy sort of data dump, no matter how I'm doing transcripts right now, but I expect it'll be audio, video, whatever else. All that data dump goes in, the system will scan it going through the node structure that I'm about to show you, I hope. We'll find out. And then I will be able to edit it in a perfect world. That may not happen today, but that's what I'm trying to do. And then when we edit it and we kind of go a little bit of back and forth, and I polish, and I have a really cool understanding where, yep, this is a good plan, we're good, I can hit publish or send to on deck or whatever the thing is that pushes it into essentially what is this on deck calendar. So then it would go on deck, and you can push through the different nodes and kind of see what you've got going on. So and that would be nice, because what will eventually start happening is, because I actually have a version of this that I use behind the scenes that actually works substantially better. I'm literally putting the graphical front end on it, so a bunch of this is disconnected still. But what on my end and the back end, on an IDE, I have a little asset section here where I can click on, and then it goes into the assets, and there's all my assets. And I can just assemble stuff, which is kind of nice. So I'm going to bring back, that's all going to be in here. But first, I got to get it from here into something that can process through how it thought through wealth and signal and life and craft, and confirm that it did, because I don't know if it does. So let's find out. All of that to say, I hope this works. Oh, okay, that's new, number one. I also like scrap plan. This is new. Now, here's what's not great. Bridge offline is running localhost 3000 where we have 8000 up there. So I don't even know if this is going to work. I'm just going to try this. And it may or may not. So let's find out. Nope. Okay, so not working from the computer that I thought. I still have to figure that out. That's okay. At least it loaded, and we still have to figure out this bridge issue. However, I'm going to jump into my backup plan, which I now have ready because we had to use it yesterday, and I kind of figured we would have to use it today, and that's okay. So what I'm going to do is jump on Google Meet. Now I'm going to try to do a broadcast within a broadcast. Fun. All right, let's see here. All right, we're going to join. And then I'm going to make sure. Oh, I think my Google Meet, it did. Hang on, I'm just going to join in here. All right, had it all set out, and then it timed out on me. Apologize. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and pull this up. So just 1 second. I'm going to share my screen off my laptop, and I will figure that out. But I'm closer. I can feel it on this local host issue. Gotta love this stuff. All right, here, this looks good. All right, we're going to pull this out. Here we go. All right. With that in mind, now we are looking at my other PC here. All right, so let's go ahead and pull this up. All right, so here we are. This is what I have been building out. This is the one that actually it works on. So I'm going to go ahead and show you this. So here, I'm just going to pull up. All right, Nitwyt OS local. I am going to fire off the Nitwyt OS bat from here. Now we are in our file. Oh, this still says localhost 8000. I bet this is not going to work. Man, I bet you that is not going to work. Let me just find out. This literally just worked, and now I don't think it's going to. Oh, this is going to work. Okay, perfect. I could tell. Okay, so this is going to, I don't know why the other one didn't work. I'll figure that out because I still wanted to be able to cross device, but I assume there's a simple thing there and I'm making progress. All right, so this is good. So wealth, no immediate action required. Okay, that makes sense. There's no immediate action required on anything because we're going to scrap that plan. Okay, this is not bad. I'm super happy with that. Those of you who may have saw the videos from earlier, especially the one from yesterday, we did a live stream. I did one from the morning reveal this morning on the actual video section of this channel. You saw what it looked like and where it was, and it's a completely different expansive view. So it's pretty good. Let me just show you. First, I want to do this test. Let me get test Nitwyt up here, and then I will pull this up. Okay. So I'm going to do the same thing. So at this point, we're going to take this test. So I'm going to take this, and then we're going to pop it into the portal. Substantially more information, which is why it is. We have a ton of stuff going on. We want the YouTube subscribers, the newsletter subscribers. We're trying to keep up on Nitwyt, Nitwyt Red, Nitwyt Blue. I'm looking, for those being connected, the automatedwith.tech. Does that get picked up? The NDK, the stuff around date night, the stuff around the aquarium project. What all the different parts and pieces that were here. Let's just find out what happens. So now we're running the 4-node scrub, which is good. And again, that phrase might change, but I'm liking where it's directed so far. And now Blueprint confirms immediate focus on NDK monetization, scaled audience engagement, critical personal recalibration. Perfect, that's true. And core systems optimization for sustainable growth. All right, This is very much operator focused as a language. In my head, I'm like, this makes perfect sense. I realize it may not be how you would say it, but that's actually kind of nice because there's a thing we have called outside in, where I'm gonna say, hey, now that's great from an inside out language. Can you make that outside in? And it flips it. Also, pro tip when you're working on audience languaging and things like that, it works really well. Estimated cost of 450 bentos, which is really nice. That's something to come up later because that just tells me about my processing, how much compute I'm using for all of this. So we get to prioritize the NDK launch for immediate revenue generation, which is true. That's what we should be doing as of today, right now, June 3rd, 3:26 p.m., my current date and time. So sort of keep that in mind. I like doing timestamps like this too occasionally because it lets me know kind of where I was at that point in time and what I was thinking. Because obviously right now I'm talking to you and you're just a piece of glass on a camera, click, click. So I know you're not there for real. And yet when this is live, there are people that are there for real. And for sure, when it's a replay, there are people there. So I thank you for being here. But I just like kind of thinking through all that. Anyway, the wealth aspects here. So I'm going to zoom in. Expedite the NDK packaging for availability and sale. Integrate NDK sales into current future monetization funnels. True. Strategic live stream. Okay, this isn't too bad. There's our signal. So enhance audience growth, engagement. YouTube subscribers and engagement metrics, robust measurement for YouTube comments. Yes, Nitwyt, red, blue teams. Now, this is the part where I would have it go through. And this is one thing I would add in the foresight protocol. It should first go through and say, first, let's cover anything that the operator has that are the typical words so that they don't have to constantly change spelling, right? Because Nitwyt would need to change the spelling, but I'm not going to do that now because I'm just going to program that in. I'm just going to say, hey, I need to have a core set of words that you're aware of that the operator can talk to you and just add them on. Here's the list of words that we know we constantly misspell, because you're going to have certain words that you say that are your product names or jargon based on your industry and stuff like that. And that's where all that's going to go. That's kind of why I'm testing for that. Automated tracking and management of newsletter subscribers via .tech. And you see here, it missed automatedwith.tech for the same reason, because that was just kind of a misspelling of the domain name. And now it only got .tech, which again, it probably will realize and figure out, but because that's in the wealth node, but I'd rather it translate it. All right, reprioritize personal relationships with well-being, schedule dedicated time for date night with wife. Yay. Allocate personal time for aquarium project and maintain creative outlet. Yes. Which is interesting because I didn't say that part. I just got an aquarium project I want to work on. And it was like, oh, maintain creative outlet, which is true. It's why I want to do it. So I like the anticipation there. Implement the boundaries to prevent the live stream from encroaching on personal time. Yes, not exactly the live stream, probably misinterpreted this a little bit, but that's okay. For version like 0.1, this is literally the first time I've seen it. This is good. Streamline operational systems, maximize Nitwyt OS portal utility. Now this is interesting under craft because it is kind of pushing my skills a little bit. That's kind of what the craft section is for. It's almost like the wealth section is the stuff that's cooked. It's good, right? You're building out products, everything else. Craft is kind of like you're exploring stuff. It's all test kitchen, right? That's kind of what the craft area is for. It's really kind of a playful area for me. So develop standardized processes. That's good, but I'm wondering if that also maybe it could be under wealth. I'm not sure. It might be under craft because I'm technically crafting that. So maybe I'll have to think about that organizationally for a little bit. Systemized recording, leveraging project wins. That's good. Continuous methods of improving ultimate efficiency. Okay, now what I would have expected is life. Man, see, the aquarium project could have also been under craft. I would have accepted that. But it is kind of under personal life because it is a personal thing. So I understand that. And so I'm gonna, this is me right now as an operator kind of learning what Nitwyt wants to become. And I cannot emphasize enough. The hardest part about giving up on the old other ways of coding and developing or adjusting or being open to new ways would be this way. It doesn't feel like I'm determining what it is exactly. I'm exploring what it is kind of by kind of where it wants to go and what makes the most sense as it's doing that. And if it doesn't make the most sense to go that direction, then I will heavily question and do everything I can to guide it another direction. And so I'm kind of guiding it as it's growing. That's kind of how I think about that. All right, so now we have operator polish notes, global rules and corrections. This is already doing stuff like that. So I'm gonna say Nitwyt. Now I'm gonna do a little bit of Nitwyt prompting here so you can kind of see what this would be like, because this also would work. Remember, Nitwyt prompting works no matter what. So I'm going to say global change. And then I'm going to say hashtag nitwit equals nitwit when referring to the OS or operating network. More on that later. By the way, if you purchase an NDK, you'll get everything that a Nitwyt can do. Even though it can't do it today, you will be getting all the stuff. You get all the upgrades, just an FYI. Okay, so Nitwit's going to be that. I'm going to say automated with, actually I'm going to say .tech equals automated with .tech. And this is me. I'm just testing this feature to see if it works. Because again, I'm going to make this more permanent. It makes more sense. For now. So I'm going to say global, oops, let me make sure it's right. Global change, that's how I want to do it. So Nitwyt prompting, we're going to kind of do it like that. So I'm giving context. I'm always creating the seed in the shell architecture. So this is my shell there, the open and close of the shell. And then I've got the seed in the middle. So that's kind of how that works. I also am going to need this window to be a little bit bigger for sure under our operator polish notes because I just don't have enough space to be able to write what I need to write. And then I'm going to do one more, which is, I'm going to say also, actually, I'm going to do this. I'm going to say question and then placement. And then I'm going to say aquarium, question mark. I'm just curious what it will do. What I'm trying to get it to do is describe to me why it is in a specific node. I don't exactly know if that's going to do that. So I'm kind of testing a little bit about where we're pinging the AI and what files, what L.E.A.P files might be in the background being pinged as I'm doing that here. And sometimes I can tell by the answers I get back which L.E.A.P files. In other words, remember L.E.A.P files, logically engineered AI prompts. So I've got 100 or so back there probably at this point. All right, so I'm going to say integrate on deck or reprocess plan. I'm not sure which one of these does what, so I'm just going to copy that in case I lose it. And I'm going to say reprocess plan or integrate on to on. Okay, integrate must be finish. So I'm going to take out the integrate part because that seems weird. It means, oh, this is publish it. So that means integrate means take whatever this is and we're going to add it on deck. Here I'm going to reprocess the plan. It should be taking this input. Let's find out. So it should have been taking our feedback and said, yep, let's go. I can still always scrap the plan, which is nice. And then let's see if we got Nitwyt. So I'm just going to zoom in, make sure if we got our spellings anywhere. The NDK. There's automated with .tech, so it has that. There's Nitwyt red and blue team, so it has that. Okay, so we've corrected that. The allocate time, maintain. So it didn't talk about the aquarium at all, which is interesting. So what's kind of cool is we're killing the chat bot. Ugh, I love the fact that I'm not getting a chat back. Oh, I think I could do this. It just kind of gives me an output that's deterministic, and it's a probabilistic. It's deterministic within a range, and that's the point. So this is useful for me, though it didn't address the placement of the aquarium. I was kind of see if that took it, but I didn't see what it did with it. So we're up to 550 bentos now. And that's to do all of these. So let's say we just integrate. I'm just going to try that for now. Oh, wait. Align and decay launch stream, enhance Nitwyt. There, now it's spelling this. So this will change too. Via team integration with automatedwith.tech, prioritize personal well-being and optimize Nitwyt utilization for systematic improvements. That's pretty good. I'm going to try one thing. I really want to see if I'm connected here. So I'm going to ask Nitwyt. This should be something, ask Nitwyt. I'm going to ask it to translate. And then I'm going to say the view to outside in TAM perspective. TAM is you, technically. Technically, it's me as well. It's the total addressable market. So that's kind of what we're doing. So we're doing the TAM perspective. I'm going to see if I can get it to adjust its tone here. And the way that I ask it to solve problems is this. And it can't respond back to me other than this. So I'm very curious to see if it will change the languaging at all, because if it does, then I know the outside in thing's working and I'm getting connected to exactly what I think I'm getting connected to. So this will be a good sign. All right. Empower the operator to strategically scale audience engagement, accelerate product market entry, and optimize operational resilience for sustained visible growth across all nodes. Yes, 480 bentos. So we've reduced the cost. That's interesting. I'll figure out how that bento system is now working. So there's our NDKs. Let me just zoom in again. We'll make sure this everybody can see. All right. So we've got that. Here's our signal. Nitwyt red, Nitwyt blue, automated with .tech. Consistent outreach for community nurturing. There's a little more. It's a little more. So things like fostering a creative outlet. Why? Essential for mental clarity. So it's tying it to why it's doing that. That's good. And so I'm liking the idea of, sustain operator well-being, personal resilience. Like that's the goal, right? Here it's optimize audience growth, engagement, and automated insights. Here it's accelerate. That's what the wealth is right now. Is for the NDK. This is what the point of the signal is. Here's the life stuff. Here's the craft, the core operational systems, platform utilization for scalable delivery. Yes, yes, yes. All right, this is good. So now I zoom back out. If I like this, I would be able to integrate it to the on deck, which would be my calendar. Again, I have no idea what's about to happen here because it's the first time I've done it. In theory, what should have happened is, oh, look at that. So now we have it in our showroom. There's our 4-node plan. So I've got everything in there. There's the different nodes. It's color coded for the different nodes. That's also very nice that it's doing that. I love the design, good touch. And I have, what I'm expecting is that this actually gets onto the on deck, which it didn't exactly happen that way, but that's okay. Because I needed what I'm really testing for is the foresight preview part, not that it ends up in the showroom, because of course everything's going to end up in the showroom. So this actually is working completely right. It just is not doing all the other stuff I needed to do, which is, okay, now we're going to go through, the on-deck calendar and actually build everything out. And then we're going to present the on-deck calendar with all the asset kits and everything else that we created because of all the leaps that got created in the background, or the leaps that were already there in the background and they were useful already. And we can tell how the leaps are being used so we can be efficient with the leap.md files that we have as a local node on the Nitwyt. Because if it's not using a leap file, then it can get rid of it or whatever. But if it is using it, you would want it, we need to know, it needs to know, because there's a certain cost to compute those leap files. And that's where the bento system comes in, because it tries to figure out how much this is costing, so that we can make it so this is not an expensive product to run. All right. And then once it's all processed, whenever I get the final assets and actually produce everything, ultimately it goes into the showroom. The showroom is something, I'll just archive this for now, but the showroom essentially would be where I can say, yep, that looks good. That's a really good newsletter. That looks great. And I can look at it from that perspective and then hit go or publish or whatever. And it would publish it through whatever the system is that I'm using. So if it's WordPress, it goes out through WordPress. If it's Beehive, it goes out through Beehive. If it's a YouTube video that I have the description, the title, and the raw video, whatever, it gets pushed into the YouTube API and it gets through there. And Nitwyt sort of just loads everything and does the work. That's the next stage of this. We're not there yet, obviously, because I have to get it there. But the first step is the hardest, which is taking the input coming in, determining what that's going to be, knowing that can come from anywhere about anything, breaking it down through these 4 nodes and then applying, which we did, which is great. Making sure the tone is more outside in. I think that's important. So we're going to make sure to add on that and just kind of start there. But I now know I can operate it a little bit from within the system as well, which is great. And then once I get it in the way that I want it and I can adjust everything, then I can at that point add it to the on-deck calendar. Well, that's the next step to add on. It'll add to the on-deck calendar and process through the different nodes for its leap files and say, oh, we need to create this or that or the other thing, and it'll process stuff. At that point, it's on-deck calendar. Then I just go through and operate it. And I can just literally go into the AI and say, hey, Nitwyt, what's next on deck? And I can kind of see what I've got in terms of, the different nodes here, the wealth nodes or the signal nodes, whatever I got to work on, I can go into and then, mark these off, however I need it to. So this is the next step. All right, I'm pretty happy with this. So I'm going to wrap this one up here. Again, I wish I would. I want to be able to release the NDK, but I want to be able to release it in a way that you can see it. You can operate it from this perspective. I'm probably much closer than I think I am at this point. What I would like to do is get a very basic version that will only operate probably on the one computer that you're using for the vibe coders now. Now, again, if you're a developer and you know how to do this stuff, you probably already know how to fix it because you know how to use an IDE. So I'm probably making this more difficult than I need to on myself, but I'm kind of making it ultimately for the person, you know, who's more like my mom, right? My family members that might buy this. Not that they would buy this, but, you know, maybe they should. I'm joking. Family has a discount. Okay, so anyway, the point is, I think I got what I need. I'll be able to have the NDK out for sure this week, because this is only the third day of a 7-day cycle to get this out, and I've made a massive leap forward in the fact that I was able to get this out of the little Ask Nitwyt whiteboard area and blow it up into the entire screen so I can actually see things in process. And now I can get all that stuff done, and move on to the next step. And then the next step, and there's not that many steps here. And then this thing is then we just cycle through those steps and we get better and better at polishing those steps. And then we have a running machine, and then we just sort of back off and use it. And then at that point, it's a closed door ecosystem of AI intelligence that's very much contained within a structured code base, but it kind of operates itself within the structured code base, which is AI native design. So hopefully that is something that you're picking up on. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. So thanks again for being here for all of this and joining us for day 3, Win 3. This is the live stream for Win 3. And then I will drop more tomorrow on the morning reveal. We go for day 4. I will also tell you that day 4 is also scheduled for 3 p.m. So it'll be 3 p.m. on Thursday, also 3 p.m. on Friday, if you happen to be watching these when they're going live on June 3rd. I will do a better job, I promise, of getting these scheduled in advance so you can get them on your schedule. We are going to do 2 different ones over the weekend. Both of those. So this is going to be, just a heads up, this will be on June 6th and 7th. So those will both be at 10 a.m. And we're going to keep those to an hour. So just an FYI there. And with that, I think we can go ahead and finish it all out. So I'll go ahead and finish this. Thank you again for being here, and we'll see you on the next stream soon. Take care.